Okay, hi. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome to the third edition of A Photographer Talks. Up until now, we've had the pleasure of Olaf Pignataro from Barcelona and Corey Rich all the way from Tahoe in California. Next week, we will be in conversation live with Craig Kaleski all the way from South Africa. But for today, we are going to be speaking with the Dutch photographer Frits van Eldik. Now, Frits was born in 1969, the son of a garage mechanic, and his father was a very keen photographer. He therefore impressed Frits with his skills and his motor vehicles. And at a very young age, Frits decided that he wanted to combine his love of cars and his love of photography in one profession. So he started off by shooting rally photographs and quickly progressed up through the ranks and started shooting Formula One races after honing his skills at Zandvoort Circuit in Holland, where there was meant to be a Grand Prix race this year. He worked for an automotive picture agency, and after that he decided to go on his own. And by 1994 he was shooting Formula One races. The last 25 years has seen Frits shoot all manner of motorsports, Formula One, Le Mans, MotoGP, and effectively everything else that moves fast, in his own words. He's also spent a lot of time in his previous sort of years photographing the young lad who's now growing up to be the hottest ticket in Formula One, that being Mr. Max Verstappen. Frits lives just outside Amersfoort in Holland, and please join me in welcoming Frits van Eldik to your screens. There he is. Frits, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Charlie. I'm fine.
That's good. Very nice to see you. Cracking photograph and very big lens behind you. Very fitting for a man of your stature. Love it.
Well, you need some equipment to impress, huh?
You certainly do. Yeah, you certainly do. That's what it's all about, as well as getting the long shots, which that lens certainly lends.
Use this most of the time, I guess.
Yeah, very true. So I gave you a little introduction. Hopefully people watching kind of understood and figured out who this mighty fellow is here. We've known each other for quite a long time, having worked together on some shoots, Canon Europe. We met in Monaco itself, where I had the pleasure of shooting your portraits. That was a good few years ago now.
It's a good place to get to know each other, in Monaco. This is not too bad to start with.
Yeah, definitely. A good place to have a shoot and to get to know each other. And we've since seen each other a fair few times on the Formula One circuit at a few races. Obviously pretty quiet this year, or currently at least. So we'll talk about what you've been doing to keep yourself occupied. In this quiet time, shall we call it? But to kick off, you shared some really great images with me for us to discuss today, and I thought what I'll do for the audience is we'll throw up the pictures on the screen so they get to see them, and you can give us a few minutes talk behind each shot, and we can kind of run through how you created them or a little story behind them. So what I wanted to start off with was this amazing shot that I'm going to throw on the screen now from Le Mans, you tell me.
Correct. Yeah, it's always difficult when people ask you to select some images which you like or what you appreciate or which has a story behind it. So when you contacted me, I was just printing this one and I liked it myself. So I thought, okay, let's select at least this one. Yes, as a motorsport photographer, I do like long distance races, endurance, and especially Le Mans. It is a very long stretch to work. Normally you work about 36 hours in a row at the race. But that you have to play, you can play with the light. If somebody switches off the light and switches it on in the morning again, Yeah, that makes life beautiful. So this is a BMW at Le Mans last year. The sunset was just finished. Shutter speed is half a second, so it's quite long. And it's basically you're really painting with the light, and you're not always 100% sure what you get out of it. But yeah, this one I really like myself.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot actually. Really, really crisp in its color and vibrant. It's very kind of exciting. Shows the real sort of excitement effectively behind Le Mans, which is a pretty ridiculously epic race. Nice shot, great one, good one to start with. Big fan of that. Thanks, Fritz. Second one I want to throw up here is, obviously I mentioned Max Verstappen. I mentioned that you spent a number of years photographing him. We've got a picture here of Jos holding Max, reading a copy of Race Report. Now tell us, what year was this? How old was Max, and what
Max is 3 years old here. The fun bit for me is that I started more or less in 1991 with his father, shooting him at the racetrack, starting from go-kart, then Formula Opel, Formula Vauxhall in the UK, Formula 3, and then straight to Formula 1. And basically I did all races since 91 with him. So as soon there was the son was born, you take pictures of him as well. And then during the career of Jos, I started taking pictures of Max as well. And it's very nice when you go through your files and have a look sometimes at what you did long time ago, for my feeling. They're really nice. It is from for the first time on a little trike and a quad, then the first time on a go-kart, and this was even earlier, just both reading a magazine which I owned at that time as well, so that's also a coincidence. But no, it's just fun to go through the files, and I almost had more fun seeing these old pictures than making the new ones of Max.
Yeah, true. Well, it's amazing history, really. Has he seen that shot? Have you shared a lot of these images with him and with Jos?
Yeah, I think most of them they have seen. So, and sometimes I send some to wake them up and say, "Hey, listen, you remember this one?" Or that's fun. Yeah,
I love it. That's very cool. But it's an amazing piece of history and an amazing collection of shots to have of someone like that up and coming. So it'll be interesting to see how he climbs and what you create of him in the coming years, assuming we can all get back to racing quite soon. Next shot I wanted to chuck up, I think is fabulous here. It really, a wrestling shot of these two extremely close John Player special motor racing cars in black and white. I've struggled a little bit to try to think how you did this, unless you've had a camera attached. I'm really not sure what's going on. Could it be a race? Could it be a practice session? And what year was it as well? So tell us something behind this story.
These things I like to do more and more, instead of having tight deadlines and running after race cars and making sure you're on time for the podium and have all your clients happy. It's also nice to do some setup things. I had a chance to do a photo shoot for a Dutch magazine, RTL GP, and there was a historic race at Zandvoort where two Lotuses were showing up, and these cars out of 1978 won the race. Mario Andretti and Ronnie Patterson finished second, and they had a nice close battle at that time through the dunes of Zandvoort. So when I had the chance to do something with these two cars, I asked the team, which is the classic team Lotus, and said, listen, do you think it is possible at night to do something special? And then of course they're first in doubt, and then they give you the chance, and I arranged the track was free, and like you said, I attached one camera to one of the cars, and then you need to instruct the drivers very carefully how to race, how to behave, what I'm doing, and then you just try to capture this moment. And it succeeded in one lap. So basically, preparation took about, I think, 1.5 hours, but in the end, they only had to run one lap. So it's minutes to do a thing like this. But I love it myself, and I do more and more these things with different kind of cars, and it's just nice to create something from the past with modern technology.
Yeah, yeah, very true. I mean, it's a great shot. Those cars, funnily enough, have a very different story and a meaning to me. In the UK, we have a toy called Scalextric, which is kind of the equivalent of a Carrera, I think. Crazy noise. We're in the UK, it's Scalextric, which is kind of toy tracks that you put cars on, racing cars. And I had a little model of the Lotus, and that was my favourite car that I used to race when I was a little boy. So a great shot with.
It's the same for me. I used to have posters of these cars on my wall when I was a young kid. So it's nice to play with these cars nowadays.
Yeah.
It's the same with drivers you were a fan of, and which you used you get to know during your career. So it's always a nice combination of these things.
Absolutely, going full circle. I think to be able to take
Yeah.
it from the toy car to the real thing is quite something. That's particularly special. Now, the next shot I would like to throw up is another black and white. You say this is. You said to me it's a very strong shot for you. It kind of makes you feel like you should have been born in another era, which is very tempting. So, what does this shot mean? Clearly, this is Monaco, but
No, it's simple. I love black and white, so that's for sure. I love images from the 60s, early 70s. I have loads of books of this. So it is very simple. In Monaco, you always try to find another angle or another view on the track to create something. And I met a guy. He said, "I have a balcony. You're welcome." And I had a look, and I thought this is perfect to do some action shots from. But it would be even better to have to create something with a girl drinking coffee, and he rented out the apartment for guests. So there was one girl who should do the catering, and then you need to act quickly and find the bathrobe and stuff like that, and just put her in position and wait for the cars to come. And well, I made a model out of the catering girl and tried to make something which it's not really daily seen, but it just came up the idea at the spot, and it worked out very well. And I made some kind of a series with two girls who were there. I said, listen, stand there, you have a nice dress, do this, get a bathrobe and stuff like that. So, but I really like these kind of shots. But it's you can start thinking about these things months, and you can also act at the moment and create it within 15 minutes. And that's this. So yeah, I like it. I love it, and try to do these things more and more in the future.
Yeah, I tell you who else would like it. Clearly, the person that catering girl. I'm sure she must have. If she doesn't, you need to send her a very large printout to put on her wall.
She has no worries.
Great. Well, good. Very good idea. And it shows that sometimes the best shots are the most unplanned and spur of the moment, spontaneous ones. So great, cool example. But clearly, moving from a very spontaneous shot at Monaco, I'd like to move on to your very, very highly detail level planned shoot at Monaco. Now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm going to show the setup shot here to show the people watching what I'm alluding to, and then if you could give us a quick talk through, Frits, that would be great. So up on the screen, now we can see a collage of 4 images.
Well, it is a simple story. It's a complicated thing to achieve. For about 20 years, during the Monaco Grand Prix, I always drove up the mountain at least one night, but sometimes 2 or 3 nights. You have a very nice overview over Monaco, and it's very silent and relaxed. And after a hectic day, it's the ideal place to have a drink and eat a pizza and calm down a bit. But every time I am there, or I was there, I had the idea once I should try to do the start out of the mountain. So basically, you're in France, shooting into Monaco, which is 2.1 kilometers away. Very long distance, but I always had in mind once I will try to do this. So in 2018, we decided, or I decided, listen, we go for it. I made a very busy schedule for myself the week of the Grand Prix. As I knew I had to go up the mountain on Sunday morning, prepare everything, do one shot, and break up the place and go home. And basically, the shot you have to do is 1 second because you can see the cars driving up the hill in Monaco. And as you want to have the whole field, it is just one moment, one click, and that was the idea. So then you start to think about it. And when you sit there, you see the whole of Monaco. You think, okay, if I use a 50mm lens, you see the whole of Monaco. But when I do 600mm lens, you go very close into the action. So then you have to make a decision what to do and what to use. And knowing that you give up the whole Monaco Grand Prix race day for one image of 1 second, I decided to bring up 8 cameras and 8 different lenses to make a setup and a remote by a pocket wizard, all the cameras at the same moment. So that's a nice idea, but then you have to bring in more people to help you to carry all the stuff to the right place. And the original idea is nice, but every day around 3 o'clock, which is the day of the start, my guys were up the mountain checking the place, and every day there were clouds. So the clouds come from the sea, they go against the mountain, and you could hear the cars, but you could not see them. And I know that it was my biggest fear were the clouds. So, okay, I always have the idea if you really want to achieve something and it is possible and you do everything for it, you should go for it. So that's what we did on Sunday, and it was more or less overcast, so but very high, so no sun. Was not too bad, but it started to really storm a lot. So the cameras were moving so much, and we decided to get gallons of water to make sure we could make sure that the tripods were not moving too much, and we took off the sun hoods to make sure the wind could not easily catch or grab the lenses. Yeah. And then I had to make the decision saying, okay, listen, there is a big risk in doing this picture because there's so much wind. Let's split up, do 4 sets, 2 sets of 4 cameras.
Okay.
With the same lenses but different shutter speeds. The thing is, I wanted to shoot this with a EOS 5DSR, the 50 megapixel camera. So I had 8 of these. But you need to think about, you want to have the highest possible quality. So I did do a lot of tests with the lenses to make sure which aperture gave the best result in the combination with that camera. So the rules were quite clear. The aperture and ISO were fixed, and I could adjust a bit with shutter speed, but I could not go too high in ISO. So there was a certain risk, and I said, okay, we can break everything down, and I go to Monaco and do the Grand Prix, or we go for it. And I went for it. The result, okay, it was there. I had to go by car to Monaco. because I had to bring all the equipment in, and I said, okay, we go by car instead of flying. And we started driving home straight after the Grand Prix. And I didn't have the guts to have a look at the cards because it was so stormy and it started to rain exactly at the start. It started to rain on top of the mountain, and I wasn't really convinced. So we were already in Italy. Then I started copying cards and while driving, and I had a quick look, and I said, okay, it's on there. Yeah, it looks quite good. But the strange thing is, I was looking for 20 years to do this picture, and it was not really a relief. You know, as a photographer, the good thing about our life is you have something in mind and you create it, and then you're happy.
Yeah.
So I had this for 20 years in my mind, and instead of cheering or being extremely happy, and you looked at it and okay, yeah, it's okay, it's not too bad. So we were driving home. I looked at the bigger screen in the office, and then I was still not really excited. You know, this is a bit, but we made a little video out of it, and I wanted to have the end of the video should be a print coming out of a large format printer. So I went to Canon to make a print on a Pro 4000, and we went for a coffee. So you push print, you go for a coffee, and you come back half an hour later, and then we saw the print, and it's unbelievable how detailed it is. The quality of these 50 megapixel cameras can only be seen by making a print out of it that big, because you cannot judge the quality on a screen, at least not on my screen, and especially not on the laptop. But when you look at the print, it's so detailed. You see everything. You see the sparks coming from the cars. You see people still walking in the direction of a grandstand, where you are. There are two people missing on the grandstand, and you see where they are. And I see all my colleagues, and it's so unreal how good the quality is.
Yeah, you did post something on social recently where you zoomed in with your camera and then zoomed right out to show that.
I have a print here, and still when I see it, it is so nice to. Normally, when you have a print at that size, you step away to admire the picture, and this one you go closer because it's ridiculously how detailed it is.
That's
so
very cool.
It is really funny to do it like this. But having said that, it was not a sunny day. It was stormy weather, and you always have in mind it maybe I have to redo it once. So last year I went up at another place at a normal day, about 20 degrees, and it's so complicated because then you have the heat haze from the city, and the heat haze causes the effect that it is out of focus. Which isn't, but it creates a strange effect. So then I realized that I was so lucky in 2018 to have these weather conditions, because when it would have been a sunny day, even without clouds, I could not have made it. It would have been impossible from this distance. So I'm really very, very, very happy with the results I have. And I have, like I said, 50 millimeter, where you have the whole of Monaco. And when you look really close, you see, it's exactly the start of the Grand Prix. And then you have the other focal lengths where you zoom in, and instead of 8, I have now 4 different kind of pictures. But it's amazing to have these images and how they look. So I'm still very happy and proud on what I made at that time.
Excellent. Well, then in that case, that story deserves me to show them. I'm putting up the 70mm now. Which, I mean, honestly, okay, this is a YouTube transmission and people are looking on their screens. So, you know, you've talked about the detail, but the detail that can be seen just here is ridiculous. I mean, you can kind of sense that there's tons of it in there. And I'm showing the 70mm on screen now, and I'm going to click and put the 600 there now, which will show absolutely quite how much detail it is that you're referring to. So there we go, zooming in. You can see the lineup of the cars.
The thing is also that I didn't publish it, because if you publish it in a magazine, it's only A3 size, and this is only has to be judged on a large format print. So I only sell this image as a print, and that's it, because all the energy we put in there and all the cost we had to get the crew there and to work it out. I only want this image to be seen at a very large print, and that's it. It's nice that some journalists phoned me that we want to have this picture as a image in our magazine. I said, no, I don't do it. So only in print available.
Wow. Well, I have to say that, I mean, the results of it are epic, you know. And I flick back onto the setup here and the story behind what actually went into this and the amount of cameras. I mean, think about the value of the equipment stood up on the top of the hill there, and if the wind had picked up and blown it over, God only knows what the insurance company would have said. So to do that with the story behind it, to result in this 70mm shot that I'm sticking up on screen now, and then the 600 is ridiculous. I mean, the quality is astounding, and actually the concept is very cool. You know, and that's
and still, when you realize you're more than 2 kilometers away, it's for me it was mind blowing. But only when I saw the print. When I saw the print, it was that moment I started to cheer and be very happy. So
yeah, I can fully appreciate why.
and then
Do you
again,
have
this is nice to have a color image, but when I make this one in black and white, I love it even more. It is again, I love black and white, but in this case, to show Monaco in this way, and that you realize it is the start of the Grand Prix. And like I said, the timing was difficult because I was looking through my binoculars and having a pocket wizard in one hand. But then you realize, you don't have a camera which can make 15 or 16 frames a second. You only have a 5 DSR, and you really need to think about what moment you push the button. And basically, you have only one chance. And I'm used to this because my life is about one chance. Every image you take, most of the things are no setups, and you're one moment, and that's what I love about my job. You do portraits, you do action, you have emotion, you have news, you are a paparazzi doing the celebrities and stuff, and every time you have only one chance. But being here with 4 people that you had to fly in, bringing all the gear or doing all the preparation, and you realize, okay, if I make now one mistake or I push the button too early, and you don't have enough frames left, or you are just too late that the leading car is out of the image. It was a tough one, but like I said, in the end, when I saw the prints, I was really, really, really happy.
Yeah, I can well imagine. There's a couple of people who've asked the question, is there any way we can see the prints? Do you have them on hand somehow? And can I in some way share the pictures on social, or can we access them? So 2 questions really. Do you have the prints to hand to kind of hold up?
Here, no, not where I am. So, if you give me half an hour, I could maybe do it, but it's too complicated for now. That's the thing. I have a website where I sell prints. I decided for in this tough times we're going through. I try to sell prints every day. So I put one of these on, or actually a few of these on my website, fritsvaneldik.com. Where you can order them. The standard is A1 or A2 size, but of course you can also get them in 7 by 2 meters if you want.
That's for you, Robin Lee.
But we are planning to do a exposition with these images. But like I said, it is a bit my thing that I really want to sell them only in large format prints, and that's it, because. For me, the value is the quality now. After all the energy we put in there, and the only way to see the quality is to print them as big as possible.
That's very true. So, how big a wall do you think you really need to have? What's the ideal size to print it?
It looks nice on what is it, 1 meter by 160 or something like that. Bigger you can do. I have one client who has it, like I said, 7 by 2 meters on a wall, and it's impressive to see one wall with the whole of Monaco, and then at one part you see the start of the Grand Prix, and then you realize, okay, this is not just some image, but he put it on a very big wall, and yeah, that's how I like it. The bigger, the better in this case.
Yeah, definitely.
And then still you want to go and have step closer and see all the detail, you know. So that's the only way to prove the quality of the lens and the camera is make a large format print. I'm sure about it.
Yeah. Well, Canon must be very happy with the results of that. It's a fantastic way to show off the quality of their equipment. And did Formula One themselves respond to the pictures? Did they have they seen them?
Sorry, there was a little breakdown in our connection.
Has Formula One seen those images at all? Have you passed them on?
Some have seen them. Some even some drivers have them on their walls. So, but no, you know, it's not a show off. It is just I'm just proud on the images. So.
Yeah, you should be. Oh, there's some good responses coming through on the chat here. So you know,
that's good.
Lots of praise. All right, so moving on from that project,
we can print tomorrow morning if you want. So.
Yes. All right, let's give Frits a round of applause here for that.
Big crowd, huh?
That's huge. They're all here, just behind me, just out of shot. From your Monaco project, then, I'd like to just bounce into the weird times that we're in, and COVID, and what that kind of means. I would assume, obviously, you, like everybody else, you haven't been traveling. There haven't been races to shoot. Your life has been kind of turned upside down. What have you been doing to fill that time? And well, first of all, how has it kind of affected you in a personal sort of space, apart from what I've obviously just said?
Well, of course, I was in Melbourne for the first Formula One Grand Prix, and it's a bit of a shame that it cost a lot of money to travel to Australia and to visit that Grand Prix, and if you're not able to sell any pictures, well, I did sell a few from the Wednesday and the Thursday, but basically you don't make any money and you have very high cost. So that was already not so nice, and as I am really living from every weekend motorsport events, and nothing is going on, it's a tough time. But saying that, I have a long list of images I always had in mind and which I would like to create. So that's one thing I started with. I sell more prints now than I ever did before, so that's also a good thing. So it's nice to make some prints every day and to pack them and to sell them. And besides that, I'm in a lucky situation that I have an office in basically in a workshop where they work on cars from the mainly 60s, and then I mean nice cars, Ferraris and Porsches, and I make books about the whole restoration of these projects. And as soon as COVID came in, it became even more busier on that side. So I do a lot of work of cars coming in, doing the whole restoration till the final product, basically. Nice. So I still can fill my days with that. So it's not as tough as it looks like. And in Holland, we are very lucky that we have some kind of a lockdown, but I still can go out and can drive to my office/workshop, do my work every day, I just changed my way of working, and I do have a lot of conversations with people now, and I have a long list of images like the old the two Lotuses in Zandvoort you showed already before. I have a lot of ideas in this direction. The only thing is I need to find cars or motorbikes or models or whatever I need for these images. So I'm basically still very busy every day. We make a little less money, but I'm. It feels like I'm busier than ever before. So that's the good thing. The struggle is to stay alive, basically. But we will. No worries.
So then the shot that I'll put up of the Toyota and the Austin Healey, was that correct?
Yeah.
This is up here. Maybe you can have a quick chat. Just explain this quickly. There's a project of a Toyota rebuild in the background, I think you mentioned.
Oh yeah, that's basically where I'm sitting now. On the left here is basically you should see the Toyota. So they're working on that car. I do all the images of the car taken apart and putting together again, but also the Healey and some Ferraris. And I was just surprised to hear a Ferrari coming in, and I thought, I'm live with Charlie Pinder. Don't make too much noise. But, so basically, that's nice to have. My desk is in the middle of a workshop, and every time they make steps, I need to take some pictures and create books. And in the end, we make 2 books about every car, and one is for the new owner, and one is for ourselves. And these projects are still going on, and it's. To be honest, I miss the traveling some days. I really think I need to go out. I want to go somewhere. But on the other hand, it's so nice and calm now not to have the stress to go to the airports and get a plane and get a rental car and go to your hotel. And so it's just another way of living. And I can get angry or mad about it or whatever, but it won't help. So I just try to adjust as much as possible to the conditions we have now, and stay positive and try to create things which I like to create.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously a fantastic way of dealing with it, really. I mean, aside from the Toyota, you shared with me an image, a project that you are doing, which is enabling you to get out. Of people with their cars. So a little bit of a side project. I'm going to put that up now.
Well, it's a bit different story. My father used to have a Fiat Lancia garage. So I grew up between Fiats and Lancia. So there's some love for these cars. And then a friend came by with a Fiat 500, and I looked at it and I said, listen, we need to do something with your car. And that's half a year ago, because it's just a nice car. And then I came up with the idea to show how small the car is. And I had a stupid idea, which I discussed with my assistant. And then she straight away said, yeah, it's not a good idea. You need to have 2 Great Danes and a model, and they will never fit in the car. And okay, so that was even a better idea. So that's what we created out of this. But I will do a little series of cars I like, and put them in strange situations, but that's exactly what I said. I need to find the cars I like. I need to find the perfect locations. Need to put everything together. You still need to be at least 1.5 meters from each other to create things. So all these things, but there's a lot going on at the moment. It's very busy in my head, and it's very busy in my notebook. So it looks promising. So I think the next few days, and I don't know how long this Corona thing will keep us off the streets, but I can keep myself busy.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's very good to know. I mean, good to have lots of ideas. The worst thing you can do is have none. And I think almost in these times now, as it's been a good number of weeks for the majority of us, you start to get almost more and more ideas. That's why I'm having these interviews with people like yourself, because loads of other things kind of keep popping in, and you think, oh God, maybe I wanted to do that for such a long time. This could be such a perfect opportunity for it. I mean, starting a series of dogs and their cars, or cars and their dogs. Don't worry about the owner. That maybe could be something that you do. I mean,
No, so the only thing is normally you phone somebody up and say, shall we go for lunch tomorrow? And then you go for lunch and then you talk and say, listen, I know you have a nice car, I need it and stuff like that. Or you go for a late afternoon drink and that's what I miss because now you have to do everything via WhatsApp or Skype or whatever. But basically, I'm still happy, positive guy, working every day and having not enough hours in about the 24 I get every day. So yeah, it's good. I'm
that's
happy.
okay. Well, nice to hear. Good. So clearly, a little bit of inspiration wheedling away in your head with new ideas on a regular basis. Who knows how long this will last? But I for one, am definitely interested to see what else is going to come out of Frits van Eldik's head. Now, question: I asked you for a book that's inspired you from your time from your bookshelf, and you supplied me with one I've never heard of. I probably should have done my research, but I admit I didn't. The New Matadors by Bauman Purdy. Now, obviously,
Well,
it's motor racing on the front, but tell us why.
no, it's a bit, it depends how you look at the question you asked me about the book. This book I used to see when I was a lot younger, and when I looked at these images, I thought, this is what I want to do. There were two things. It is first Bernard Asset, which is a French colleague. He used to work in the 80s, and when I saw his images, I knew already that I wanted to become a photographer and I wanted to do something with cars. And when I saw his images in that time Grand Prix International, I realized I want to become a motorsports photographer. So as soon as you realize that, you start to find books and stuff, and now you would go, of course, on the World Wide Web and start looking for images. But in my time, you were looking for magazines and books. And when I found this book, I looked through this book for so many times, and every time I looked at these images, I said, okay, this is what I want to become. So from that point of view, I selected this book. The funny thing about this book is that somewhere in my life I lost it. I don't know why, but maybe by moving houses or whatever. Once, or I gave it for, I borrowed it to a friend, which might now realize, oh yeah, I still have it, but I lost the book. So a few years ago, I found one, and I was so happy to have this book again. And then you look at it and okay, for that time it was good, but okay, why was I so excited? But basically, so much inspiration came out of this book for me. So I was so happy to have the book back again. So when you ask me which is a book which I really appreciate and which gives me so much inspiration in my daily life now, there's no doubt it was this book.
Oh, it's nice. So, I mean, I haven't seen inside it, but the image on the front tells a very cool story from an era gone by. Maybe as and when racing is allowed again, it could be another side project to go and recreate some of these images that inspired you at such a young age.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm planning to do, and if I can do what I have in mind, I even don't have to do all these races anymore. I just would like to concentrate more on that. But it's just a change of living, And photography is a way of living. Being a photographer is not just having the camera out of your back and take a picture. You only try to find another point of view of things, and as long as I can create what I have in my mind and using the right tools for it to do this, I'm happy. So we will see where it ends up.
Nice. Well, I definitely think you should give it a go. I think it would be a very cool book. So let's see. Keep following your antics and see what comes out of it. So switching track, I thought there's a couple of little things that I could just ask as we get to sort of closing times of the interview. kind of more about tips and tricks. There's a few people listening and actively engaging with comments. There's a couple of questions from a couple of people that I'd like to pose you as well. But, you've got a lot of experience shooting cars. We've seen some cracking images there with motion trails and clamping cameras onto rear wings. Have you got any tips that you'd like to share with us, or maybe a single tip, or even one thing that you've learned in the last 5, 6, 7, whatever weeks we're in now of shutdown?
No, that's the easiest. No, there are a lot of people trying to capture motion, and to be honest, there's no difference in shooting a Formula One car or your kid at home on a bicycle. It is a movement which you want to capture. And the biggest mistake most people make is, especially when you have a camera which has a sports option on the camera, it freezes the moment. And in case of a Formula One car, you can read Pirelli on the tires, and that's exactly what you don't want.
Yeah.
You want to see action, so you need to see movement. So you need, instead of going in high shutter speeds, you need to go lower and as low as possible. And the BMW you saw in the beginning is half a second shutter speed. It is really challenging. You don't have to go that low, but try to take a picture of something moving on a thousandth of a second. And if you repeat this same image, the next one on a 15th of a second, you see the difference. And you see where you want to go to, and it is no rocket science. I didn't study for it. I just do it on a daily basis, and if you do it enough and as much as possible, it's just trying, and you need to dare. You need to make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. So also in shutter speeds, and every time you have one that you can be proud on, you try to adjust it a bit and fine-tune it the next time and become better and better. But playing with shutter speeds, I always want your eye to go somewhere in the picture. And most of the time, as I work commercially as a photographer, you want your eye to go to the sticker on the car of your client. And there are two ways to do it. It's by depth of field, so playing with your aperture, or playing with shutter speeds. And then your eye needs to go to the right spot on a car, or in a picture in general. So that's the main thing about action photography. But like I said, my daily job is completely different than most of the people think, because it's not only about these cars, it's also about the drivers and their wives and the celebrities, and you need to have the podium, and you need to be in the right position to have the celebrations, and all these things, all different kinds of photography. Even when you look at the Monaco project, when you it's almost landscapes. All these types of photography I have packed in a weekend, and sometimes I have them packed in an hour, and that's what I like about my job as a motorsports photographer. It's more than just taking pictures on trackside of cars moving fast.
Yeah, it's capturing the whole story, which you've got many years of experience doing, and thanks for the little insights. I'm sure people will be very appreciative of it and be viciously trying how to get that shot and equal the skills of you, Frits. Now, a couple of questions that came in from from some viewers from Moto Photo SE, whoever he is or they are, but they posed the question: Frits, have you ever shot 24 hours motorcycle road racing?
No.
So it's all about
No,
four wheels.
I have to say, I have for many years already the Bol d'Or in France, which is a 24-hour race, or the 24 hours of Le Mans for motorbikes, and especially the 8 hours of Suzuka on my list to do. But it never fits in my planning. And the thing is, I sign contracts with people who want you to do a series of races, so you plan to do 8 or 12 or 20 weekends, and that's very important to do this. So every year you look at it, what can I fit in? and it never fitted so far. But I really would love to do it.
Well, maybe this year might be your opportunity if things kick off, or
Yeah,
even after it.
yeah. But the problem is, as soon if things kick off, so that's the first thing. If, but when they kick off, everything will be in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
So I don't know how my planning will look like, but I think it will be a very um, impressive 3-4 months of 2020 if it kicks off. Like I said, I'm a bit in doubt about traveling and stuff. How easy we can travel. Even you from the UK, can you travel abroad? And if you come back, do you need to be 14 days in quarantine or whatever? So when you start thinking about this, when you have events which I visit, where I have people coming from the US, from the South Americas, from Japan and Asia, and from Australia. Can we all go there? And I'm not talking about photographers, but also you need race drivers, and you need mechanics, and you need organizers and stuff like that. So it can be a bit more complicated than it looks like now, but we will see. Once I will do 24-hour races of motorbikes. I'm sure about it.
Nice, good answer. Well, I hope you can. I hope things kick off for us to get at least a bit of the action this year. Another question here, a very quick one from Hoop Coilers Media Services. Asks if you ever use the Canon AF cases on your 1DX. And did you hear that?
No, can you repeat? Because
Do you ever do you ever use the Canon AF cases on your 1DX?
Wait. Please try again.
Do you ever use the Canon AF cases on your 1DX, and in what situations?
AF cases?
He puts in brackets 1-1 to 6. How does this mean something to you? Maybe he might have to expand on the question. Let's see if he's watching, if he can expand a little bit more.
Otherwise, let him send a message to me at Facebook or Messenger or Instagram or whatever.
There you go. Yeah, let's do that. Hoob, if you're still out there and you're still listening, get in touch with Frits directly through social, and he will answer your question. I've got another one here. What sort of post-processing workflow do you go through? Now, obviously, that can be quite a long-winded answer. So maybe just tell us the bits of software that you use, and leave it at that.
Well, listen, I come from an era that I started working on film, and then I was printing my images in a darkroom, and basically I still do the same, but I just use Photoshop. I try to create an image out of the camera, and it should be almost perfect, and I only adjust it a little bit by maybe make it more horizontal or change the saturation a little bit, but that's it. Because everything I need to change on an image, I can exactly explain to other people how to do it, but they really need to help me because I have no clue how to do it, and I still want to be a photographer. So that's it. I use Photoshop, but when I do race weekends, my deadlines are that tight. You don't have time to work that much on an image, because most of my clients want to have pictures straight out of my camera, or they want to have them at least within an hour after a session. So there's not much time to work on images, but I use Photoshop. Not even Lightroom. I use Photoshop, and I can play a little bit with that, but that's it.
Gotcha.
I tried to do it when I had film rolls of 36 images. You need to think first, and then you push the button. I still think first, and then I make a picture, and that's very helpful. Instead of taking 10,000 of images within an hour, then you're very busy to sort them out, and the ones you sorted out, happy with it, and you need to work on it for 2 days, and then you put them on social media and show them, say, listen, I'm happy with this. Yeah. But if you think first what you want, how you want it, take the picture, then it should be almost there already, straight out of the camera.
Perfect. Yeah, top tip. No spray and pray approach that some people have. Well done. All right. Well, I think from a question perspective, there was one here from Robin Lee who asked if you've been testing the Canon R5. So if there's anything that you can already that you can express or tell us that has not already been released by Canon, but having worked for Canon, I think I know the answer to that question. So just give a thumbs up or down if you've been testing the Canon R5, and we'll leave it there for questions. There you go. Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to look to wrap it up. We're close on the hour. We've had some nice questions from the audience. We've seen some really amazing shots and heard some really great stories. So thank you immensely, Frits. That was very, very great of you to give us your time and to talk us through some of those. But one final parting question before we go, I feel has to be asked because of the time that we're in. Can you name one thing that you think will change forever as a result of COVID and the situation that we're in?
Well, I only hope one thing will change. And look at us now, because we used to see each other and have a drink and talk and see each other at Photokina and stuff like that. We do everything now online. When I'm on the road now, I can properly plan from A to B without any traffic jams and stuff. So people find out now how to work from their homes, or I'm used to work from everywhere. I work from hotels, poolsides, media centers, etc. We can all do it now from home. We can even get educated from home or at home. So I really hope this will change the world a little bit in a positive way. Even when we don't need to be stuck at home, we can stay at home and work from there. And I think that's a positive change for the future. There will be a lot of other things which will change life dramatically, but I think this is a positive one.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times on the rounds, and I agree. I think it's making people realise what's possible and that we can do things differently to the ways that we've kind of got used to in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So here for that comment. Obviously, I'd very much like to see some people in person and hope that we can exchange a beer at a racetrack or wherever it may be, a trade show in the near future. But for now, a big thanks to everyone who's all these people commenting, and thanks for arranging it. Big thanks for the thumbs up. Kind of people really appreciated the interview, but none more so than myself, because I haven't got to see you this year, and I hope I do before it's out. So for now, take care of yourself, keep working hard, and stay safe.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.